Hi, I'm Jack Draper. Shout out to QualityShot Tennis.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. It's another preview and prediction video, and it's Novak Djokovic versus Lorenzo Musetti. Now, this is going to be an interesting matchup. It could be one-sided, but given the recent history between the two, mainly really the Roland Garros match between the two years ago, I'm hoping that's going to be relatively entertaining, at least given that it's on the red stuff, the clay. Before we get into it, though, remember to that like button, do subscribe if you are new, and also do leave a rating or review if you're listening on a podcast platform. Thank you so much, by the way, to everyone that has become a member. It's great. Your support has been fantastic. Really greatly appreciated. Also, over 80% of you are still not subscribed who are watching these videos. Come on, guys. If you're watching the videos, give it a subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything, I promise. And it just means that you get alerted to new uploads as well. We love tennis here. We've got all different types of tennis content on here, so there's something for everyone. Okay, let's get into it then. So Novak Djokovic versus Lorenzo Musetti is arguably a very one-sided matchup going into it. Djokovic is one of the most informed players on tour right now, given he won the Australian Open and given that he normally starts off the clay court swing pretty slow. Didn't get to play Indian Wells in Miami due to the visa issues. And against Gakov in the first round, it was a tiebreaker in the first set. Looked pretty dicey at times. Didn't look like he was at his very best. And then second set kind of cruised it. He actually doesn't have a particularly good record at Monte Carlo. He's only won it twice in comparison to his other tournaments, that is, if we're talking about Rome, for example, where he's won it so many times. And what he does very well is peak for the slams. So he doesn't normally tend to play his best stuff a month, a few weeks beforehand. It's normally he progressively gets better and better and better and then peaks physically and mentally for the slams. And that's what he's so good at doing, which is why Rome, he has such a good record, because he's pretty much at his optimum best going into then the Grand Slam, which is Roland Garros. So that then presents an interesting opportunity for Lorenzo Musetti, who hasn't necessarily been playing incredible tennis, I would say, but he's shown glimpses of what he's about. He's ranked number 21 in the world right now. He's looking to push on. I think, we've seen a lot of glimpses, a lot of close calls where he's managed to potentially cause upsets, but hasn't quite got over the line. And I feel like he needs to start winning matches like this, really, for us to sit up and say, okay, you're actually in the same class as a Jannik Sinner, a Carlos Alcaraz, a Holger Rune even, who beat Djokovic in the Paris Masters final. So if he wants to be in that conversation, he needs to start beating the big guns. And who else than Djokovic to beat? I mean, there's no one bigger than Djokovic at the moment, I would say, on tour to beat, because Nadal's not playing his best tennis. Djokovic is, in my opinion, the guy to beat. If you beat him, everyone else is going to look up and say, ooh, all right. Whereas, with Alcaraz, yeah, he's incredible, but he can lose and he is beatable, and people have seen that. He's still very young as well. Djokovic is the finished article, and he is one of the GOATs. So let's then look at their previous matches. So as you can see, Djokovic played against Gakov and won in straight sets. Before that, he played in Dubai, lost in the semi-finals to Medvedev. It's not really relevant because it's a hard court. But, I mean, he made a semi-final of Dubai, won the Australian Open, and won Adelaide. So out of the 3 tournaments he's played, he has won 2 of them, made the semis of another. I mean, incredible. For Musetti, he beat Kecmanovic in the first round, which was pretty impressive, given that the head-to-head, if I'm not mistaken, was in... Well, actually, it was in Musetti's... was in Kecmanovic's favour, was it? No, it wasn't. He'd beaten him before anyway, so he went into it with a positive head-to-head. The match was okay. I mean, the first set, 7-6, very tight. Bageled him, though, in the second set. That's what I think is really, really impressive. His first set percentage, though, very, very low. I'll need to get that up against Djokovic. So we'll talk about that more in a second. So we're going to talk about the match's current form, then previous matches briefly. Then we're going to talk about it from a more tactical standpoint, where I think the match can be won or lost. More about Musetti, really, because Djokovic has so many tools at his disposal, even, that he is the heavy favourite, as I said. So, yeah, good win against Kecmanovic. Beat Nardi as well. So, good wins there as well today. Before that, lost to Muller in Marrakesh. Beat Gaston, though. Good win there. Lost to Lehechka in Miami. Lost to Manarino in Indian Wells. 2 first-round losses. But bounced back relatively okay in Marrakesh. And this is now a good run. So he started to pick up a little bit of pace, which is good. The previous meetings between the two is 3-0. You can see here, Djokovic-Musetti. Musetti was 2 sets to love up against Djokovic in the 2021 quarterfinals of Roland Garros. And let's just say he choked a little bit. To be fair, the first 2 sets were tiebreakers, so I think that has to be catered in as well. 9-7 in the first set tiebreaker, 7-2. So he was playing like out of his skin. He really was. Djokovic, I think, raised his level a little bit. Musetti dropped it massively, got breadstick and then bagel, and then it was 4-love in the final set. He retired. A little bit of a cop-out, I have to say. I think he knew he was going to lose. Then also Djokovic beat him in Dubai last year. Straight set, 6-3, 6-3, so pretty routine. And then also beat him in Paris in 2022, which isn't too long ago, bageled him, and then also won 6-3 in the second set. So there's some, interesting signs there that are telling me that Djokovic is, of course, the massive favourite, but given the one time they played on clay, it was at least he managed to take 2 sets off him and 2 tiebreakers, which is still impressive. Djokovic is so good in tiebreakers. I think we have to then, look at this and say, well, okay, can Musetti do something here? So tactically, can he do anything? I guess is really the question. Well, Lorenzo Musetti is known for his incredible flowing one-handed backhand, which is beautiful to watch when on song, when on fire. It really is. His forehand, though, is also very underrated. I think from the back of the court, he's very good, Lorenzo Musetti. He has a lot of power, a lot of firepower, a lot of accuracy as well. And I do think he finds good angles on the clay courts, and he has weapons, definitely, from the baseline. His serve is not good enough, I think, to be a top 10 player, and he needs to improve that big time. I think there's some massive issues, one in making the first serve in the first place, and then also trying to avoid being at neutral on the back foot straight away for the 1+ shot, because the returner hasn't really been troubled too much by his serve. It's not a particularly big serve. He doesn't hit his spots enough, in my opinion, as well. It doesn't make enough first serves. His returning is actually pretty good for the most part. I think he's more a natural returner, and on the clay, his serve can be masked a little bit because of the slowness of the surface. But his returner serve is very good for the most part. But Djokovic is the best returner to ever grace a tennis court. Now, probably not the best returner on clay, but second best, I would say, behind Nadal on clay, that is. And he's going to eat up Musetti's serve. He really is. The only upside for Musetti is Djokovic won't be able to accelerate through the court as much as he would on other surfaces with his return because of the clay. But Musetti's going to have to take a few risks. One on the first serve placement, I think, and second serves. But 2 also from the back of the court, because Djokovic is, his shot tolerance isn't as good as it was in the past, because he's become more of an attacking type of player, I think we can safely say. As he's getting older, he's looking to shorten points. He's looking to be more aggressive. He's willing to take more risks, and these are calculated risks that are paying dividends longer term. But what it does mean is that the longer portion or proportion of points, the longer points anyway, he doesn't win as high a percentage of those points as he did in the past, but he wins a higher percentage of the shorter points, which is why when he comes up against Medvedev, he does at times struggle, because Medvedev takes him into deep waters and he doesn't want to be in that. If we're talking about Djokovic from 5-10 years ago, he'll do it and he'll probably come out on top. But now he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to get into these really, really physical battles, especially when he's developed such an incredible serve nowadays, and his forehand has been revolutionized. It's such an attacking threat and weapon from the back of the court. So you might say, well, then, Fazan, why doesn't Musetti just get into long rallies with Djokovic and he'll win? Simple, right? No, it's not. Because even though I talked about him struggling against Medvedev, Musetti is nowhere near at the level of Medvedev when it comes to shot tolerance. Medvedev is almost in a league of his own when it comes to shot tolerance, so there's not many other players that can really stick with Djokovic from the back of the court as the rally progresses. If I was Musetti, I would have to be the one trying to dictate proceedings from early on in rallies. He's going to make some unforced errors, but he has to be proactive, I would say. If he tries to be passive or he tries to just stick with Djokovic, he will lose. Djokovic will make less unforced errors, he will hit more winners, and he will be able to induce errors from Musetti and make him uncomfortable. So if I was Musetti, there's a few things I would do. One, I would go line early with the backhand. I think that is something that he did against Djokovic at Roland Garros, and when he does it against anyone, it definitely causes issues. It's an incredible shot. It's probably his best shot, I would say, the backhand line. And Djokovic is very good defensively, as we know, but on the forehand side, stretching, I would actually say he's better on the backhand side defending, personally. He's still good on that forehand side, but if you can get him on the stretch that he's not able to hit that open stance, kind of flat or kind of loopy forehand, even actually cross court, to get himself out of trouble. If he can get him on the slice on the forehand, that's where Musetti wants him, and that means going relatively close to the line. He needs to give himself a margin, of course, but he doesn't want to be too safe with it either. He needs to try and rip it down the line. It's as simple as that, and go early. If he goes backhand to backhand, most likely Djokovic is going to break down the Musetti backhand because his backhand is a lot more solid. In terms of defensively and being able to, and the shot tolerance on that side, it's like levels above Musetti. But when we're talking about potency and attacking value, that Musetti backhand is as good as Djokovic's backhand, I would say, in terms of attacking value. And he needs to make that count. Similarly, on the forehand side, I think he needs to be aggressive. If he wants to go forehand to forehand, he'll probably have a little bit of a better chance maybe in that exchange. But even then, I do think he needs to be the one being proactive. Find those angles cross-court if you're going to go cross-court. Try and go deep down the middle if you're going to go down the middle, and try and go line first. Do not be passive. Do not just say, I'm going to stick with Djokovic. You will lose. He will lose. He will break down when it comes to shot tolerance, and it won't be a pretty scoreline, that's for sure. Secondly, when we're talking about serve and return dynamics, as I said, he has to hit his spots. That's a must. And, serve and return is not really something utilized against Djokovic, but what he can do is if he's pushing him back in the rallies, then hit the drop shot. Djokovic is incredible at retrieving drop shots, generally speaking. But on a clay court, he will stand further back. If Musetti can, push him back in the exchanges by being aggressive early on in the rallies, then the drop shot is something that he needs to utilize. He's got a pretty good one as well, to be fair. So something that I think he should be utilizing, in my opinion. For Novak Djokovic, there's not really a lot to say about his game and what he should do because, who am I to say what a GOAT should do? But what he will be trying to do is trying to be the one on the front foot and take away any power that Musetti has in the rally. So he will be trying to be aggressive to make sure that Musetti's on the back foot because defensively, Musetti's not very good, in my opinion. I don't think he's particularly good defensively. And if Djokovic is able to wrestle the momentum in the rallies and he's able to be the one dictating, Musetti's going to struggle massively. He really is, because defensively, as I said, he's not the best, and Djokovic will pick him off. He really will. Service-wise as well, I think he'll try and hit his spots, of course. He might even come and serve and volley against Musetti. He can stand quite far back, Musetti, on the return position at times, and Djokovic's serve, his forehand, and also his net game have all improved. And that's not to say, by the way, because if you watch Djokovic about 10 years ago, he still had a very, very solid net game and also had a very solid forehand, also had a very solid serve, but he's just taken it to that next level recently in the last few years. And that just shows what a champion he is, that he's constantly evolving and trying to better himself. So it'll be interesting to see how he plays against Musetti. He's not going to hit the ball as flat, of course. There's going to be more topspin, more coverage from both players. But we're going to see some aggressive attacking, I think, game plans put out by both players as well. And they won't be trying to just engage in these really long, grinding, gritty rallies, which you might see with some other players on the clay. So it should be exciting. I'm going to go for Djokovic in straight sets. I can't see Musetti even taking a set off him, honestly. But if Musetti was ever going to beat him on clay, this would be a very good opportunity. Djokovic is still not 100%. And Musetti, if he turns it on, I actually could see him winning. If he turns it on and plays his best tennis, I could see him winning because Djokovic is not going to be at his best. He's not. As I said, he will peak when he needs to. And this Monte Carlo tournament, it doesn't mean anything in terms of his chances for Roland Garros, in my opinion anyway. And history determines that as well. Guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Let me know in the comment section who you think is going to win as well, and by what scoreline. Also, if you think there's any points that I missed in terms of the matchup, let me know as well. I'm always interested to hear your guys' thoughts. But apart from that, have a great day, and we'll hopefully see you for the live watch along tomorrow that hopefully one of us will be doing. So keep an eye out for more preview and prediction videos, and also more commentary that will be coming your way from Monte Carlo. Thank you very much, guys. Stay safe and well. We'll see you on the next video.